Hey YouTube, and welcome to another video. You might be wondering, hey Feer, why are we starting in the middle of a game in overtime? And I will get to that in a second. But first, I want to let you know we are watching from GarrettG's perspective. GarrettG of NRG. NRG, one of the most popular North American teams, despite their recent struggles. And I wanted to cover a bit of a storyline that happened this last weekend, and including last week when this game actually that we're watching happened, because it is very interesting and relevant in the terms of RLCS history. Now, NRG has been the most popular team, large in part because of this guy, Captain America, as well as his teammate Squishy, who has a very big presence on YouTube, and Justin, who hit the shot and has just been one of the most exciting players since he entered the scene. Now, why we're in overtime is because we are currently in a closed qualifier game. If you guys don't know, 16 teams make the RLCS, and GarrettG has been in every single RLCS regional, I think since Season 2 maybe, or even all of them. Season 1 was a bit weird. He's essentially always been in the RLCS and has never missed it. But the team he's on right now, NRG, is in the top 16, but the bottom 8 of the top 16, which means he has to play through a qualifier each regional to prove that his team deserves to play. Now, he is currently in a Swiss against everybody who's worked through the open qualifiers, and unlike NRG, they are now in the 5th round of the Swiss. The way the Swiss works is you have to win 3 games before you lose 3 games, and by that I mean matches. 3 matches before you lose 3 matches, and they are currently 2-2 in matches, playing against Boulevard, and even more than that, they are now tied 1-1 against Boulevard, which means that they are on the verge of potentially going down 1-2 and being 1 loss away from being knocked out completely from a regional. It'll be the first time GarrettG has ever missed one. He is the mainstay of the North American RLCS, and so a lot of pressure on these guys and him specifically. So that's where we're at now. We're playing Boulevard. This is last week, the final round of the Swiss, with going down 1-2 on the line if we're unable to convert on this overtime, in which nobody has been able to score. Now, I wanted to bring this up because NRG has been sliding a little bit. People have been talking about how they need to get a roster change, even though they don't seem to want to. If you listen to Garrett talk about it on stream, he's mentioned that they like playing together. None of them have any interest in switching from the team they have, and they're looking to stick it out despite all of the poor results. In fact, right before this regional, there was a couple different podcasts which brought up, as many people have before, you know, these guys need to make a change. They finally need to make a change because it's just not working out for them. And a lot of people use this struggle in the closed qualifier as the reason. Now, another thing that GarrettG has done, which has not only made every regional, he hasn't made every LAN, although for a long time he had a huge streak doing that, but he has made every World Championship because they changed the way that the seasons work. Not every LAN is a World Championship like it was back in the best of Garrett's days. So he can afford to miss a LAN here or two without breaking his World Championship streak. But that also is in jeopardy. Right now, NRG, before this regional, I believe probably standing somewhere in the 10 to 11 range. It's hard to say because I know how the regional ends now, and it's hard to go back and see exactly where they were. But it's definitely not looking great. Only around 6 or maybe 7 teams, if NA performs well at the next major, are going to be going to the World Championships, and being in that 10, even 9 to 11 range, it's not going to be great. Their streak, or I should say Garrett's streak, is currently in question. But Garrett hits this shot. He hits this shot at the end of game number 3 in the qualifier, one that I wanted to show. And it's hard to, I tried my best to give you in the moment the kind of tense nature in which all NRG fans were sitting here watching this game, such a crucial game going down 1-2. But Captain America clutched up and hit a nasty double to put his team into, well, technically, he only went up 2-1. They went on to win the next game as well, 3-1, and they qualified through the Swiss. A little bit of a scare in the closed qualifier, but they made it to the RLCS. And unfortunately, NRG fans started to think, man, this is all we can ever get excited about, just barely making the regionals, as opposed to what we used to be used to, which was celebrating huge wins in the main event. So are they just going to go bomb out again? Well, we'll cover that next. We hop back to GarrettG's perspective, but this time in the RLCS, and you notice they have Furia across the field from them. How did they get into this match against Furia? Well, it's not an early round exit like a lot of people were maybe expecting. Instead, it's one of the best performances we've seen out of NRG in a long time that remind us of the NRG of old. Now, they went down to Space Station in their first round in Game 5, which made it seem like maybe we're headed to another NRG early exit, 0-1 in the lower bracket, and it's not something that we'd be too surprised for, as Garrett almost gets a nice reset 50 into a shot. But NRG handled Hey Bro, a team that you would imagine came in as a low seed in the close qualifier, and then they went on to play against one of the top 4 teams in North American RLCS. I don't know if you guys were paying attention, but the top 4, Gen.G, FaZe, Complexity, and G2 are probably the 4 that people comfortably have there at the top. All of them lost early. All of them lost early, sent to the lower bracket, which was unfortunate for teams like NRG, who are also in the low bracket, and we're going to have to fight through. In NRG's case, specifically, they had to play through Complexity. Complexity had just won the previous regional, so NRG was going to have to show up against a champion regional team of recent memory, and seeing how NRG has been playing, they certainly shouldn't be able to match up to a team like that just by recent results. But as I can imagine, you understand since we're making this video, NRG was able to win. That was all on the first day. They were able to beat Complexity in Game 5 as well. So a couple close series for them as Garrett taps in the first goal against Furia. We'll get to why they're playing Furia, but NRG actually goes on Friday, or actually Saturday, for North America. I'm too used to doing MENA. But for Saturday, they play against G2 in another best of 5, one of the top 4 teams in North America, and they beat them as well in Game 5. And now they're finally here in the top 6 now against Furia. And specifically, we're on Neo Tokyo. This is Game 6. Furia is up 3-2 at the moment and tied 1-1 in this game with 3 minutes left to go. So if they could get a win here, that would push them into the top 4. The top 4 of North America in the Spring Cup. This is not a result that people were expecting of NRG, but one that I think all of NRG believed in themselves to do. After the previous day, or after this day, after the day that we're watching here, Garrett sent a tweet that said, "It's all mental." You know, I've been telling you guys it's all mental, and North America just seems like one of the toughest regions to play through, if not the toughest all the way down to the bottom. I think some of the regions teams like EU at the top are maybe stronger than North America's top, especially considering what we saw for the previous regional. But as far as going all the way down to the 12 or so range, it just seems like almost anybody can win, and this regional this weekend proved that the most, because all these teams who seemed like they had finally started to consistently finish lower all showed up and performed into the top 4, one of those big ones including NRG. So with 2 minutes left to go right now, the fate of the world rests on Garrett's hands, although Squishy's going to do the hard work here to put him and his squad up 2-1 with 1:51 left to go. Now, this is relevant not just for getting a good result like these guys would love to see, but it's also relevant for Worlds. We talked about Worlds. If NRG could get a top 4, that would push them much farther into a position that could be tied with Furia. It'd be nice to beat Furia, because Furia are one of the teams that they are actually competing against for that world spot. So huge, huge game here. And I just wanted to focus on it and look at our guy, Captain America, and just talk about him a little bit, because it was a special moment this weekend. And a lot of people have wondered when pretty much everybody on this team might retire, or specifically Garrett, who's been in since the very beginning. He's one of those kids that right when RLCS started, he was around 15 years old. And as you guys know here on this channel, those young guns are always very exciting and perform very well. And that was true when Garrett started. He was one of those, top tier players, if not one of the best. And he's kind of stuck around in that area his whole career. But that means he's been playing for what, 5, 6, 7 years, something like that. Is that crazy to say? I'm pretty sure that's how long the game's been out, and RLCS came quickly. So I think Garrett has been playing a long, long time. So people start to ask him, does he want to retire? Well, I've been watching his streams on occasion. He streams at good times for me to watch, and he says he's going to keep playing until it's not fun. You know, even if he started to lose and not perform as well like he has been doing recently, he says he still has fun playing and he still wants to keep doing it. So we may see Garrett for a long time. You know, we've seen different players play it different ways, where some want to immediately quit as soon as they're not the best anymore, and some stick it all the way out until, you know, they're finally consistently not qualifying for regionals, and then they retire. So it seems like maybe we'll get that from Garrett, because at some point it's got to stop working for him. But that point is not this weekend, because Garrett and his team win this round 4-2 over Furia, go to the top 4 and make it to Championship Sunday. NRG fully back, and it's just the whole community loves it. The whole community loves it when NRG wins. It's like, there was once upon a time when NRG was winning enough that they were my least favorite team. They were my least favorite team because I was a fan of G2 and these other North American teams, and NRG always beat them. But nobody can have a grudge against NRG now. They haven't been beating everyone's favorite team enough. So now when they win, I think literally just everybody's excited. I don't know if anybody can hate on NRG when they win. So it's fun to see them have another good performance. Is it the kind of performance that will make them want to stick with the same squad going into, you know, the next season if they don't make Worlds? Because they're locked in at least until Worlds, or, you know, if they make the spring regional, I guess in theory it could happen now that they had a good result. They have to follow it up with a probably similar result in the spring invitational, which they are going to be in. But either way, it's fun to watch these guys go, and it's just always been exciting having NRG around. I think they're one of the best organizations, and this guy right here, Captain America, is one of the reasons why. So I wanted to make a little video showing just what he did, specifically that shot in the closed qualifier. It seemed very, very epic, and now considering how well they played in the actual regional, whereas they could have just bombed out and made it not worth anything, but it was worth a lot. It was worth a lot, and it's yet another success for our favorite North American.